Hello everybody and welcome back. My name is Winback, and on today's episode of Heroes of the Storm, in our A through Z playthrough, we're going to be playing ETC, the Cowman Supreme, the tank of tanks, the original, the one and only Rockstar. It's fantastic to get to play this character because he is always tried and true, always the tank that I can go back to and feel like I'm having fun with. But this is a YouTube video, so feel free to like, comment, and subscribe your heart out. If you like the channel and you want to support it, feel free to share it wherever you do your sharing. And we are back on Hanamura Temple for the second time this week, which is, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's a 2-lane map and whatever. 2-lane maps are usually pretty easy to tank on in quick match. Fingers crossed. Now, ETC, if you are not aware, the build is pretty simple, but you're going to take whatever you need at level 1 to counter the enemy team, which is either Block Party or Prog Rock. Guitar Hero also very good if you don't have any need to do anything with those other two talents. And then at 4, you're going to pick up Loudspeakers. 7 is going to be Pinball Wizard. 10 will be whatever you want. 13 is Mic Check. 16 is going to be Dealer's Choice. Yet again, I usually take Showstopper though. And then 20 will end up being either Tour Bus or Bolt to the Storm, depending on how you build your 13. Now, usually at 13, I'm going to take Mic Check because having the knockback on our W is very, very important, but you could also take Encore if you think that your moshes are going to get a lot of interrupts and you want to have them on shorter cooldowns to make more mosh pit plays. So we'll talk about that as the game goes on, but ETC's abilities are incredibly simple. They're very strong tank abilities, and all that being said, they don't take a whole lot of time to explain. So your Q is called Power Slide. It is just a straight line skill shot dash that is going to stun people for 1.25 seconds when we collide with them. Your W is called Face Melt. It is a huge AoE circular knockback around ETC that does just that. All it does is knock people back and does a little bit of damage. Your E is called Guitar Solo. You're going to regenerate health for 4 seconds anytime that the button is pressed, and that's it. And then all of this couples with ETC's trait, Rockstar. So after using a basic or heroic ability, ETC is going to get 20 armor for 2 seconds. This effect does not stack with itself, so you don't get more armor the more that you press abilities, but you can effectively increase the duration of the 20 armor that you have. So if you hit your Q, and then you wait 2 seconds, and then you hit your W, and then you wait 2 seconds and hit your E, there's basically 6 full seconds of 20 armor. So it's a lot of the reason that ETC is so tanky. It's really good. And then ETC's 2 ultimates, you are basically only ever going to see Mosh Pit because everybody in the world thinks this is the best ult in the game. And it is very strong, but that's doing Stage Dive a disservice. So Stage Dive is a global ultimate you can launch anywhere on the map and drop down directly on people's heads after a short channel in duration, and then you're going to deal a bunch of damage and deal a 50% slow to whoever you land on. It is a really, really, really strong ultimate, but it gets so overshadowed by Mosh Pit that you basically never see it, which is really sad. Need some help from the team to do the Samurai Camp, and they are finally on their way. We're up in XP right now. Gotta make sure that we maintain that lead because the enemy team just got their Samurai Camp and tried to gank the Nazebo, and didn't do a very good job apparently. Now, since ETC's abilities are all out of the way, we can talk a bit more about why the character is so good, I feel like, and also very bad at the same time. ETC, being as simple as he is, does require that you have a decent understanding of tanking, number 1, and where you're supposed to be in team fights, number 2. ETC doesn't have the highest health pool for a tank in the universe. It's actually on, I would say, mid to lower end of tanks. He does not compete with Diablo at all. And then Diablo and Stitches obviously being the top 2 in the health pool for tanks. ETC ranks, I would say, above Anubarak, but yeah, still definitely on the lower end of things. So you have to be very careful with what you're doing with this character. Even though he can mitigate a lot of damage with his armor, and he has a shitload of CC, it doesn't necessarily mean that you can just stand up front and tank tons of damage. So that's just... Take that out of your mind right now. It's not going to happen. I am sorry, but you have to actually dodge skill shots. You have to try to avoid poke. You have to be smart about your engages, and you very, very, very certainly have to peel with ETC. ETC's W, his face melt, is one of the strongest peel tools in the entire game, and it is made even better by the talents that we're taking to keep people safe. So, with that being said, remember one cardinal rule when you are playing ETC. When you use your Q, do not immediately press your W. In 99% of the situations, when you hit your W right after hitting your Q, you're going to fuck up the skill shots for your team. They're going to miss everything because they're aiming at a stationary stunned target, and you've just moved that target, which is terrible. What you really want to do with your W is slide into people, get them stunned, wait for your team to use all of their abilities. If they're not using abilities or doing anything relevant and you need to get into better position to body block the person that you've just stunned, you hit your W on them, knock them towards your team, and then you just stand on top of them with ETC's huge body. Okay. I just got spam pinged to get out of the Nazebo's lane because he thinks that I'm going to take his stacks and that this is his lane because this is League of Legends. And then he's going to miss his fucking wall and leave it on top of me while doing literally nothing to the Diablo. So, yes, I'm going to spam ping your stupid ass back because that was garbage. Anyway, back to the game. So, ETC specifically is very, very strong, but you can't mess up a lot of his abilities when you're playing with him. So if you are going to pick up the character and try to master him, remember, pressing your buttons is really important, but you have to press them in the correct way. The only caveat I will say to using your Q and then your W immediately is when you have your pinball wizard ready to go and kill a target. So Face Melt does 300% more damage to enemies recently affected by Power Slide, which means anybody with, I would say, anywhere from 5 to maybe 8% of their health bar left, you can Power Slide them, W them immediately, and then they will die. And that is the only time you should ever be trying to hit someone immediately afterwards with your W. It's really good. Part of the reason that I will only ever take Pinball Wizard at 7, because it gives ETC some pretty solid kill pressure. It's kind of like a Crossfire for Blaze, if you're familiar with that talent and that character. But those two talent tiers are really good at dealing damage for tanks, and it's nice. Oh my god, Diablo just hanging out inside the bush. Nova also, there is the dead-ass Nazebo. Just not sure why you're walking forward when I'm moving backwards, but no accounting for understanding, I guess. Anyway, the talents that we're taking at level 1 here, we've taken the Block Party. Block Party is going to give our team block charges when they are near us when we're using abilities. That's 75. Oh my god, can you get out? We can save her. That is a 3-person stun from both the Kerrigan and myself. She's going to get the high five and just walk away with the no spray. Nicely done, friend. You made it with your shields. Way to press buttons. Now we've got to try to save Orphea from the Lily, because Lily can in fact kill her. And there is the Pinball Wizard, taking out the Tiny Panda. Fuck yeah. So Block Party is going to grant 75 physical armor against a hero. Against the next heroic basic attack for 8 seconds, reducing the damage taken by 75%. We can get maximum 2 stacks on ourselves and our teammates. Yeah, don't stand over there. You're going near a wall. Okay. Thank God the Diablo was distracted, because that was definitely a dead Orphea if he had slammed her into the wall. Really wasted Apocalypse there too, but the Falstad Gust going to save the Diablo from death. And there's the Jugs. Okay. Now, 4 and 7, well, 4 specifically and 13 are going to be 2 talent tiers that you cannot take anything else on. No. 13, you have some leeway. But 4 is the most important talent tier for ETC. There's just no way that you can take anything else because making face melt bigger is arguably the best thing about ETC's ability to tank. Because it makes face melt so much larger, that means you can hit so many more people, knocking them back so much further, interrupting so many things, even on accident when it comes to this character. And then the amount of just disruption that you get from loudspeakers is disgusting. So speed metal, I guess you can make a case for its movement speed, really. I mean, nobody hates movement speed, but ultimately I wouldn't take Crowd Surfer, even if you're reducing the cooldown of Power Slide. It's not worth what you can do with the Oh, I need to leave. Going to get out, sliding away. Is Lily actually going to chase me? No. No, she's not going to go. No. Perfect. Made it out with teeny amounts of health. Still trading people. Looks like a 2-for-1. I need to get away from the Falstad because I don't want to get blasted. Lots of toads hitting the Diablo in the zombie wall. And now Kerrigan's definitely dead. I didn't realize she was living for so long in the middle of the enemy team, and I reacted a little bit slow to her death. So, my bad. Probably could have saved her with a mosh pit. Or at least maybe traded another kill or two. Oh well. Yeah, but Loudspeakers is just, bar none, the best talent for ETC at level 4. I don't think you can pick the other ones specifically for that reason. So, it's so good, I feel like it needs to just be made a default part of ETC's kit, and you need to remove that talent to make the others viable. It's really just that good. Your 7 talent we've already talked about, the Pinball Wizard. 13 is where we're coming in with a little bit of situational decision making. So at 13 currently, I've got Encore. Normally, I would be taking Mic Check here. Mic Check is going to reduce the cooldown of our face melt when we hit more than one enemy. KTZ finally dying, but Lucio is going to pay the price for his hubris. We have got 2 people in the mosh pit, Lily and... Okay, you missed... I didn't get out of the apocalypse in time. He missed his combo on a stationary target. But Orphea is coming around the backside. Can we get onto all the targets that we need? There's another missed combo. Lily has got the jugs up. We're going to stop that channel. We're going to blast her backwards. And now we're going to watch Kerrigan die to the Nova. So the ghost on the Queen of Blades, finally able to assassinate her like everybody in the Dominion wanted. Can we get out? Can we get out? We do have 2 levels on the enemy team, but if we continue dying in their faces, we're going to let them get all of that XP back, which is bad. It's really bad. I'm sure everyone knows how bad that is, but here we go. Keep is down to minions. Thank God, enemy team forgetting that they have to do buildings as well as team fight, so good stuff. Actually, kind of a common occurrence on Hanamura Temple. Really weird. But 13 again. So Mic Check, reducing the cooldown of our W by 6 seconds. That's halving the cooldown when we take that ability. And because the AoE is so wide, it means you can have face melt up ridiculous amounts of time. She was directly in front of that wall. If I didn't power slide there, Diablo's going to stun her, kill her, and make things happen. So, hopefully, she can get out now. Leave. Stop going forward. Just stop it. Okay, perfect. Kerrigan gets the kill on the KTZ, and we can peel the Nova off of the Orphea. Hopefully, we all just stay alive now. Everything's good. Just don't make any bad decisions. We're 16 to 15. If we could all just group up and go in, now is the time. Perfect. Way to go. So the reason I took Encore this game, though, is because the enemy team has a lot of ways to interrupt Mosh Pit. And I want to have Mosh Pit up quite often to threaten the enemy team with it. So I took the Encore. He died before the Mosh Pit would even stun him. Bummer. I don't get to look cool, but that's fine. So Encore is going to reduce the cooldown of our heroic by 5% each time an enemy hero is hit by face melts or the amp that is left behind by face melt with this talent. So the cooldown's still 12 seconds, which is, I mean, huge. But the W is going to leave an amp behind that does, that was huge. That, okay, well, less huge now. Looks like everybody's going to get away. Lily's going to pop the jugs. Only Kerrigan dies. I was in the base, so I don't know if necessarily that was the strongest time to go in. Got the charge with our face melt. And that, my friends, is the whole reason that ETC is such a godly tank. That W stops so many things from happening. It is ridiculous. But Encore, you've seen it by now. It leaves the amp after we do the first knockback, and both of those things, hitting heroes, are going to reduce the cooldown of our heroic by 5%. So if you manage to hit even 2 heroes, you've taken 10% CDR off of your mosh pit, which is an insanely high cooldown at 120 seconds, but taking 12 seconds off of it with just 2 hero hits on your W, that was not a good gust, my friend. Not a good gust. We were standing on the right side of the camp there to make sure that when he did gust us, that he wouldn't be able to take the thing right away. Turns out you have to know what you're doing when you use the gust to kill people. So I just stoned a clone. I just mosh pitted a clone. My bad. Definitely my bad. But as it turns out, not too bad. Trading 1 for 1. Big zombie wall going to hold down the Diablo. And now we're going to get flipped. They are trying to fight for this objective like it is the end of the game. It really isn't. This objective sucks butt. But Diablo's still going forward. He's got his life leech going, trying to soak up a lot of health from the auto attacks. Lily doesn't have any mana. Going to get killed by the Lucio. And now we just have to sit and wait until the eventual end of the game, where the samurai pushes all that shit up. 3 people are dead, and we can just walk onto that building to end the game. Whew. I did end up taking Showstopper at 16. Getting 35 armor on top of the 20 armor that we already have means that we have 55 armor, I believe it is, when we use our Q. Oh no. No, armor doesn't stack. So this is just 35 armor. That sucks. ETC's 16 sucks. His 16 tier is just so bad. But I guess that's fine because his 13, his 4, most of his other tiers are pretty fucking OP, but his 16 is just fucking trash. Aggressive shredding is pretty good, I guess, if you're building into the E and auto attacks, but I don't know. Showstopper seems shitty, and Imposing Presence is just like a generic talent, so I guess it's good, but it's still boring as fuck. And then 20, you just take Bolt. But in this case, since we had Encore, we're going to take, well, we would have taken Tour Bus if we made it to level 20, because Tour Bus is going to increase the duration of the mosh pit and give us a power slide while mosh pitting. So having that up more often means that the threat range of mosh pit is enormous, and it is on a super short cooldown, which means that we can just kind of run the enemy team over whenever we feel like it. It's pretty gross how good those things work together. So, all that being said, the talent build, in case you need it one more time, we've got Block Party at 1, Loudspeakers at 4, 7 is going to be Pinball Wizard, Mosh Pit, Encore at 13, Showstopper at 16, and then 20 would have been Tour Bus. Tour Bus and Encore together, or Bolt and Mic Check together. Only take Tour Bus if you're taking Encore, just because of the heroic cooldown reduction. But normally, again, Mic Check is the way to go at 13 in 99% of games, unless you get into those situations where you just can't land a mosh pit and you need the cooldown. And in that case, maybe consider taking Stage Dive, because Stage Dive is an incredibly strong ult, I promise you. That is going to do it for me today. We will be back tomorrow with the next set of letters, which is our Fs, and that is going to be the Lightning Bird. Falstad. I'm not sure how I feel about that yet, because I don't know. We'll see. Thanks so much for hanging out. We'll be back. See you later. Peace out. GG's.